Which shape of the perfume bottle gives you an association with Russia and why?
I think it will be our next release that is going to be ready in 3 months' time. The Xerjoff collection is under the process of restyling of the flagon, and I believe that the style can be close to some of the Russian architectures, the classical Russian architecture that you can find in the major city. So it will be something that you will be able to see very soon.
Thank you. So next question is, which fragrance was the most difficult for you to create and what caused those difficulties?
It's going to be the next one. So the most difficult is always the one that is on the plan, yeah? Because once you create something, then it's done. So that doesn't matter if it was difficult or not. But the next one is always the most important because a company like Sergio now has a portfolio with Sergio, Casamorati, Sospiro. We have over 100 perfumes. So the next one has to be the most important. The next one has to be the one who makes the difference. So the most difficult is going to be the next one, whichever it's going to be.
Thank you. So the next question is, what kind of emotions do you experience when the composition of the fragrance becomes a whole picture?
Well, I don't know if it's emotion, it's a sense of achievement. Yeah, you coming to the end of the process is an achievement. It's a project that you never know if it's going to work or not. Creating a perfume is something really, really different between creating anything else. Sometimes you think you reach the end, but the end is never there. So sometimes you abandon the project. So once you realize that you arrive to the end of the project and you actually created something together with the team or alone or whatever to what you had in mind, it's got a sense of achievement. Yes. So this I think it's a great emotion. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And the second question from the same person is, Mephisto, who is he, the prototype of the fragrance? A human being or some kind of creature? Which traits of character does he relate to?
Mephisto is part of the Casamorati collection, and is actually one of the perfume which was created around 1888. So it's one of the historical masterpiece from the Casamorati collection. At the time, the inspiration was taken from a theatrical opera. Yeah? So that is where the story is. So still today, every Casamorati perfume has a story behind. It doesn't matter if it's an old story or a new story. So the Mephisto is a story of this theatrical opera.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is, the most sophisticated, unusual fragrance you smelled in your life. Which fragrance or aroma impressed you the most?
I would say that it's always nature which is the most sophisticated, because like what your experience, I recently had a travel in Brazil, in South America, and that is where you have a huge mixture of elements like the water, obviously the green leaves, the forest, the wind, and I believe the fact that South America is so vast as a territory that any breath of wind is actually merging together so many different elements, which sometimes are even impossible to replicate with a perfume. So that is the most intriguing one, and especially because in South America, like in many other natural area of the planet, the smell changes by the time. So the night has a special smell, the morning has a special smell, and in Brazil, the different times of the night actually have a different smell. So from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock at night, the smells change of the air, of the earth, of the water. So that is very intriguing. and sometimes you need to give up because nature is too strong.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, so the next question is, what happened with Dajala fragrance? I need it so bad, but it's impossible to buy it right now.
Nothing's happened. you still produce. We in Xerjoff, like in Casamorati, Sospiro, we never cease to produce any of our perfumes. Even if you have some perfume which are not as successful as other, we never stop producing them. So get on our website, write on the infos, and we will reply, and we will make sure that you're gonna receive your Dajala.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next question is, I really like the paired fragrances of Amber Star and Star Musk, but I rather use Amber Star on a daily basis. I like its disclosure and the base. Do you plan to sell it separately one day, and if not, to which fragrance Mr. Momo would turn my attention to?
Well, Amber Musk was actually a very interesting experiment which it was created in order to make sure that the final client, the client, actually becomes his own actor. Because we have created two perfumes which we sell together, which are going to be designed and constructed in such a way they can be mixed. So we didn't take just two perfumes we put together. We actually created two blends which were perfectly matching together. If you prefer to have a match which is more amber, or you prefer to have a match which is more musk, then it's down to the client to obviously to spray in different percentual the perfume. So it was a game which is the final client was able to do. So I don't think that we will ever split this idea. Many clients are asking to split, but I think it's wrong because the original idea was actually to create two things which were kind of complementary together. And obviously if he likes amber, so amber and wood are sort of a particularly strong base notes. So whoever is asking the question is particularly fond of this kind of notes. But I suggest maybe to try Richwood, which is not as strong as the amber that is referring to, but nevertheless is a very particular combination of woody and flower, which I think you will be very interested to.
Thank you very much. So we're done.
Great.
No. One last question. No last question. The most important one in our opinion, okay? So, some time ago, Mr. Momo planned to create the fragrance dedicated to Moscow. Will there be any notes of warm metal, wood, rubber, or dust, or rather bergamot, neroli, sending us to the olfactive travel to the times of Italian architects who built the beautiful places for royal dynasties? Would we smell the fragrance dedication to our capital of Russia anywhere in the nearest future?
Yes. I think that whoever is asking this question has got first of all, a good memory, because it's actually saying things which are very close to the project, which is an ongoing project that we had since a long time. So the words that he's saying is because that obviously he remembers something I said a long time ago. The answer is yes. We will definitely will create this very important project for Russia, which like I always said from the very beginning, it's always been in the history of Sergio probably the most important market. Right. From the beginning to today. And no, I think that it's going to be, regarding the ingredients, it's going to be a combination of both. Both Italy and the Russian culture are deep cultures, so there is a lot to investigate into. The meanings of ingredients are extremely important, and at the same time the ingredients need to be blended together in such a way that the result is obviously positive. Maybe there will be more than one, because the story is so important that maybe 1, 2, or maybe 3 perfume will be part of these concepts which are telling the story. So there is history, of course, there is the crossover between the two cultures, like you just said in your questions, the architecture, then the mutual exchange of knowledge on the architectural side, and the exchange of the culture at the time and today. So there's so much to say that maybe just one perfume will be enough, but it's more of a story that we need to put together.